Good morning, good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Think 2021. My name is Kieran Ryan, and I'm joined by Clive Graith from Atos International today for this session that we're calling Future of Intelligent Automation and the Telco Revolution. So again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you can get some interesting insights from this session that we will be going through today. Firstly, I'll let Clive introduce himself here in just a few seconds. I'll put up the standard IBM disclaimer slide as we always do at any of these conferences and sessions. So this is there just for your awareness. And I'll quickly move on. And I would invite now Clive to introduce himself. He can do this way better justice than what I can. So Clive, welcome to the session. Thank you. And if you could introduce yourself.
Kieran, many thanks for the introduction. Yes, so I'm Clive Graith. I look after the Hybrid Cloud Competency Centre in our telecoms and technology and media industry markets. The basic area of my role is to bring cloud and container-based solutions across into telco networks and IT departments globally.
Excellent. Thanks, Clive. And I think we have a strong relationship between our two companies that's developing all the time. Would you like to just announce some news that you've recently been able to tell us about?
Yeah, I'm pleased to say that Atos is an IBM Gold Partner and now confirmed as an IBM Top 10 GSI partner with established deep and long-term relationship based upon that technology partnership. And, not only are we a GSI, but, we also manufacture infrastructure. So the Atos Edge and the Atos Mobile Edge that we manufacture are incorporated with IBM Edge Application Manager into our technology. And that we use to automate tasks across thousands and ideally tens of thousands of edge locations.
That's quite exciting, actually. Yeah, so it's great that we've got multiple different threads to the relationship between IBM and Atos. So again, thank you for today. I'll just briefly introduce myself. So Kieran Ryan, I've got responsibility for offering management in a part of the IBM software portfolio that looks at networks, automation of networks, and indeed edge as well. And in my previous career, I used to work for Ericsson, I used to work for Vodafone, worked for a number of small companies in the telco management space, and now I'm in IBM within the software team. So again, welcome to our session today, and thank you for joining us. We hope you can get some, as I said, insights and value from it. So, Clive, this is an interesting time, right, within the market. So in the clients that you're working with, could you describe kind of what team or organization are the ones championing this so-called horizontal disaggregation of the network? And have they defined any metrics on what levels of automation they want to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, all of our clients seem to have different sets of drivers. The common demand is coming from, firstly, the product teams, who tend to have KPIs to drive revenue, launch new products and services, to really build the value on that 5G. And secondly, it's the network tower owners who are faced with the daunting task of implementing the technology with limited spared skilled resources and without disrupting the existing 2, 3, 4G services that they run and operate daily. So end-to-end automation or zero-touch stack in the context of a new cloud-based architecture are key to unlocking this. For example, first, if we take the simple requests to address the assurance activity, here network alarms can be handled intelligently in an automatic manner using automatic incident ticket generation versus the former manual human intervention and ticket creation. In another example, when considering the order management process, then customer installation requests are automatically dispatched with the correct technical teams and appointments scheduled in the calendar. But however, to achieve the full automation stack, that is the ultimate goal, where end-to-end automation can be achieved irrespective of the operation request. For example, new features such as customer design and installations, new service activations, network reconfigurations, new third-party portfolio enablement, or network reconfiguration should be completely automated. At Atos, we've always used a lot of open systems for based upon Red Hat technology to support our customers, especially OpenStack cloud operating system, Ansible automation, and more recently OpenShift for container management. So we are now naturally expecting our customers to aim for the full automation stack to maximize the operation and business benefits.
That's very exciting. You guys are doing a huge amount here in this space, and it's really interesting. Obviously, right, IBM being your partner, what would you like to see? And I'm sure this is a question that a lot of the audience out there will have, right? Is because they will want more from IBM. But what would you like to see from IBM as a partner in either product or ecosystem support to help you with your end customers? What can we do for you?
Atos is a system integrator, and customers are looking to us for us to ensure that there is no customer technology lock-in. And this is achieved using open systems, with documented interfaces, with the capability to allow network reconfiguration to support new features from multiple network appliance vendors. The IBM network automation addresses all of these requirements and allows us to integrate applications openly with product vendors. This guarantees our customers can truly benefit from the best solutions available from the market today. So going back to your point, we really want IBM to continue to support overall compliancy with ETSI, TMF, OASIS, and EFTF standards. We also want to see IBM open ecosystem to be expanded as quickly as possible so that all network appliance vendors and technology vendors can have certified interfaces.
Yeah, and I think there's the Red Hat culture that is now really kind of strong within IBM in that partnership and that collaboration we have now with our Red Hat colleagues, which I hope I can kind of maybe describe a little bit more later on. I think it's very interesting, but because we look at the industry more broadly today, there are certainly some challenges, but what obstacles exist and therefore need to be removed, in your view, to help clients achieve their goals of that zero touch or lights out operations here of their networks?
Yeah, there are several factors that impact the adoption of a fully automated environment. Unfortunately, legacy, or we can call it current environments, remain a big challenge, especially when they've been deployed in a closed silo without any standardized approach to interfacing. In such a scenario, nearly full automation is typically limited with the capabilities of the existing legacy environment. For more recent environments, we've observed several deployments where communication service providers have extremely customized cloud environment specialized on a single network segment with a solution from a single vendor. This leads to a scenario in a multi-cloud environment where each cloud environment has characteristics driven by vendor lock-in scenarios. E.g., for Cloud A, there is a RAN lock-in from vendor 1. For Cloud B, there's a packet core lock-in from vendor 2. The only way to manage such environments in an end-to-end approach is really the need for an umbrella system which can handle the end-to-end service deployment and orchestration. Obviously, in an ideal world, we believe, like everybody else, should think that each environment shall offer open and well-documented interfaces that enable the ability to consume requests from all types of external entities.
Yeah, I think that we're hearing something similar, right, in terms of the vendor, the lock-in, the ambition to move to the disaggregated horizontal stack. If I can move forward here, and just invite you, Clive, just to kind of maybe say some more about the labs, but also the investment. You guys have been at this now, right? You have deep expertise across a number of areas. And that's very impressive. It's very important to us, and it's very attractive for us in IBM to have a partner with such deep expertise and domain knowledge and recognition in the market. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I mean, we've been providing core network and IT applications services for the telco market for over 30 years. But more recently, we built our Atos Telco Labs, and it's purposely built and dedicated to telco network function virtualization. We use it to support the design and engineering of customers' infrastructure and application compatibility. Over the last 5 years, we've used the lab for all of our engineering and modeling projects, such as the simple impact of virtualization, and more recently, the impact of containerization. Perform network function performance testing, network function integration and chaining, along with MANO and northbound integration testing. One of our latest proof of concepts was with IBM, where we built a one-touch cloud infrastructure automation using IBM network automation. And we obviously see together that there's a window of network transformation opportunities not fulfilled by the existing dominant suppliers. And we decided the purpose of the proof of concept was really an opportunity to engineer a joint solution benefiting from the Atos, Red Hat, and IBM expertise, so that together we can deliver end-to-end telco-grade solution for telcos and service providers. I mean, just a few highlights. The purpose of the POC was to demonstrate cloud infrastructure automation to enable a transformed VNF deployment. It was to benefit from real use case focused around a radio access example with Altiostar, an IBM ecosystem partner. And to use Red Hat OpenShift, Red Hat OpenStack, IBM orchestration, and NFVI automation together, fully integrated in the lab by the Atos telco engineers.
Yeah, like there's definitely the expectation today in the market, which is that show me the evidence, show me the code, show me the keyboard, show me the screen, the experience, etc. And what you guys have achieved is quite impressive. It kind of, if I can move forward in just kind of from my side, it reinforces really what we're seeing. So and the fact that you have been investing in this area now for a number of years shows that deep understanding, as we said, by you and your engineers of the journey that our clients are on. So we've also been doing our POCs, answering quite a large number of RFXs coming from the industry over the last 5 years. And we've spotted 3 key use cases that I want to share here with the wider audience that we see now bubbling to the top, and the pain points or challenges that clients are trying to get answers for. We hope the audience would recognize some of these, and you may well have more. We would be more than welcome to listen and hear from them. But the first of these use cases is the rollout of the new radio access networks and the arrival of a set of disruptors in the virtual RAN space who are challenging the incumbency really of the older traditional NEPs. Professionals from the telco industry who are listening to this should hopefully recognize these, right? Around deploying a radio access network automatically at scale in hours and minutes versus weeks and days or even months. And this is what we IBM are working on to solve for clients, for partners in collaboration with Atos, for example. So the second use case that we're seeing come up is the management of the service lifecycle from day 0 through to day 1 and day 2 operations. The complexity of the services is increasing, and the telcos want to stand up new service instances for their enterprise clients quickly and easily, while at the same time abstracting away the complexity of the underlying networks for themselves and for the end clients, so that it's standardized, irrespective of which vendor is being used today to deliver to the service, because we could potentially swap in another vendor by the end of tomorrow. And finally, the big use case we touch on in this session is a need to move over time to zero-touch operations. The challenge today is that 5G is unlocking new opportunities for revenue-generating services, but the operation and management of these new services requires more automation and the use of AI and machine learning to make decisions on maintaining the service availability at all times. This is a key focus area for us actually in IBM for our roadmaps, to employ more AI and ML and machine learning to deliver on that promise really to the clients. How we're doing this is with a new offering that we've just brought out and support these use cases over time. It's with our Cloud Pak for network automation. The core value of the offering is the intent-driven orchestration, and everything comes from that. We model the desired operational state and work all the time to keep that operational state, making the automatic changes in the underlying stack of the components, right? The different layers of the stack to maintain the service. I'd like to point out one major thing here also, which is the integration of this Cloud Pak for network automation to the Cloud Pak for Watson AIOps, that together support this closed loop operations. That's powered by our NetCool engine in the Cloud Pak for Watson AIOps, and we monitor and observe the total infrastructure, detecting degradations and anomalies, which are then used to trigger automated orchestration activity that responds to that degradation anomaly. So over time, the closed loop automation, it gets better. The level of automated operations of the network increases, meaning the engineers can start to support more and more services, really looking for the business outcome of growing their business overall. So yeah, we're very excited about this new Cloud Pak for network automation, and we would love the opportunity to speak to more of you as individuals about that. And if I jump here, and Clive, I'll invite you in just a minute or two to kind of put some questions back on me. If I jump here, right, let me show you an example of how the various different personas start to come together in the management of the life cycle of a service. So we see the top 3 key users here, showing the full life cycle management and how it's attained. So the first is the network engineer, who needs to quickly onboard physical, virtual, containerized network functions, make sure that there's a normalized lifecycle models for all the vendor X and Fs, so that they're not having to deal with individuality. It gets aggregated or abstracted into a standard view, and that's a benefit of the Cloud Pak for network automation that helps simplify this process. So for the network engineer, the network service engineer, who then desires to design with intent and have one-click deployment. We've got customers today who are saying, push button deployment, drop in the box, plug in the power, connect the cable, right, build everything automatically after that. So Cloud Pak for network automation will use its intent-driven orchestration to allow her to describe the desired state of the service without pre-programming workflows, and then have Cloud Pak for network automation automate both the service design and test of the service going into operation. So the SRE then, right, the site reliability engineer, wants to automate the fixes and changes with clarity and utilizes the integration with the Cloud Pak for Watson AIOps to support that dynamic service assurance capability. So there are 3 personas that we're really excited to be looking forward to working with, and we're seeing really kind of gain a lot of strength and credibility within their organizations. Clive, I'd welcome you to ask a question then, a question or two, and see if I can answer it as well as you answer the others.
Yeah, Kieran, fascinating. But so looking at the start though, so who is really driving the network engineer to adopt these changes?
Yeah, Yeah, it's a great question, right? So I mentioned that I worked for Vodafone Ericsson. I used to be a network engineer myself at previous stages of my career, and I put my hand up here, right? And that was definitely at a phase when we were working in reactive mode, right? I'd go into work and it would be waiting for things to go wrong. But what we're now seeing in our client engagements is that that same network engineering role and the leadership is seeing the opportunity to get away from the vendor lock-in that you mentioned above with the larger NEPs that they would have been experiencing, and importantly, really depending on, right? Network engineers would have always pick up the phone call to the NEP support team. But now the business is seeing the possibility that a horizontal cloud platform can be deployed, and you mentioned it earlier, where IT and network workloads can be deployed side by side, which leads to some serious efficiencies that can be obtained by the customer. So the network engineers will always be expected to support network availability without disruption. So rather than having new disrupting vendors imposed on them and technology choices imposed on them, they're truly pulling their seat up to the table and making sure that the XNFs, that they're up to scratch, that they perform as described, and can be abstracted and brought in under management, and then handed over to the service designer to innovate new services that will grow their overall business. So it's a culture change from when I was a feet on the desk network engineer with a cup of coffee in the morning, to the new site reliability engineering culture that's being adopted. And this is really, I think, making some very positive changes for the future that'll be taking place here.
Oh, really right. But Kieran, so going to the last point then, do you think the dynamic service assurance will incorporate diagnosis using artificial intelligence, and perhaps even as far as self-healing? We'll have the confidence of self-healing with IBM technologies.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of buzz, and there's even, I would dare say, some significant amount of hype out there. But we know that we have seen actual RFPs coming from CTO office, CIO office, from network office people, right? Where the language that's being used it's like lights out operations and zero touch operations. And the telcos do want to monetize their networks. And they need that automated operations to help them to become the provider, for example, of a cloud-based network to another telco. Just the possibilities are really opening up right now, and they're quite big in terms of that. Well, I'll give you my RAN to support delivery of your services in this particular geography, for example. But as this transformation accelerates in the market, it does require levels of automation to increase more than where they are today. And we, IBM, see the use of AI and machine learning as critical. And Clive, you've called it out, right? So we cannot get to intelligent automation without AI, is our view. And we're working with our colleagues in IBM Research, who, by the way, just so everyone is aware, are one of the leading research organizations today in the world, right? Who, for example, have been innovating on quantum computing, just as one example. And we're partnering with them on what AI can we apply to networks to get better and faster insight on what is going on, so that we can make better and faster decisions in automating changes in the network, from the bare metal to the BIOS settings to a config change in OpenShift, because maybe a new XNF version has been tested and deployed in the telco CI/CD pipeline. So we have seen that the automation of business processes being super important within companies over the last number of years. The next step now here is the automation of the operations processes, and AI and ML are so important to that. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough slog over the next number of years with the complexity that's coming down the tracks. I am conscious of time. We've been drilled that there is an optimum time for all of you to listen to us. We hope, just stick with me for another minute or two. We hope you've truly learned something interesting, especially from Clive here, who's at the coalface and doing it. and is showing people how to do it. So let me quickly close out here with this last slide. And I want to link back to a comment made earlier by Clive. It was interesting around the requirement for an IBM open ecosystem. This is critical in our view to supporting the levels of automation that are required. For us, it's not just about the product, Cloud Platform Network Automation, it's about an accompanying open catalog of automations shared with our colleagues in Red Hat, where clients and partners like Atos International can pick up automations for use in their deployments. And then also where Atos can add to these automations to deliver their own differentiating value that comes from their domain expertise that they can build on. So we're working to make sure it's easy for an ecosystem of network equipment partners, and you can see a lot of logos here to come to this platform. But these are not just logos. These are not just document of understanding. These are relationships that are have a foundation of code and actual assets and artifacts that we're building on within that catalog of automations, so that we can be able to describe this particular network function to our Cloud Platform Network Automation and bring it in under management. So watch this space as we grow this ecosystem over the coming months in partnership and collaboration, as I said, with Red Hat and hopefully with Atos as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who've logged in. I'd like to sincerely thank Clive for his time today and for all of his time in the prep sessions that we would have worked on coming up to this. Thank you, Clive, sincerely. And with that, thank you to all of you who listened to this Think session. Enjoy the rest of Think 2021, and hopefully we'll get to see you all in person at Think 2022. Thank you.